Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is certification of closed session pursuant to subsection 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia 1950. As amended, each member of the Board of Supervisors upon roll call certifies that to the best of their knowledge only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters that were identified in the motions by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from their requirements shall state so prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that in his or her judgment has taken place. Are there any supervisors who a departure has taken place? Being none, if you agree to the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Tim Lovelace.
Yes.
Luann Wallace.
Yes.
Carl Ray. Steve Breedy.
Yes.
David Eaton.
Yes.
Horace Christian.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye.
Yes.
Ma'am, you have approval to return to regular session.
All right, let's stand for the invocation of Thank you, dear Lord, for giving us another day. Thank you for the blessings that you have given each and every one of us, our family, our friends, our neighborhood, and our county. Help us to gain strength from you. Help us to gain knowledge from you. Help us make our decisions that will be the best decisions for our county. In Jesus' name we all pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first thing we need to do is to amend our agenda tonight. And these changes need to be number 6 under our county attorney, small loan, short-term agreement with the Russell County PSA. Number 7 under the county administrator's request, which gives the note number. Number 7 needs to be the employee under pay. And number 15 is the Russell County Planning Commission class that we need to review and vote on. So with those 3 things to change, to amend our agenda, do I have a motion to accept it as it is with these changes?
Madam Chair, I make a motion we accept the agenda with the changes you just read out.
Steve, thank you. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the first thing we're going to do is open the floor for a public hearing for number 1. Lonzo, is she on the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is with Debbie Milton, and the first thing is the Belfast Water Line Extension Phase 3. And Debbie Milton is on the phone.
Debbie, can you hear us? Debbie, can you hear us?
Debbie? Go ahead, if you'd like to. Briefly discuss this. There has been a water project extension to lead on to the county line. This is on Mountain Road 603, and it is through a grant. Debbie Milton is pursuing this money through a grant.
Debbie, are you good now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm here. Can y'all hear me? I'm having a little trouble hearing, but, y'all, Council has been working with the PSA on our, Bail Fast Phase 3 application, and it'll be approximately like 21,000 linear feet of line and 47 residents in the Belfast area in an extension. The project will cost about $872,000, which Southwest has funded $72,000 of that, and we'll be applying for a block grant in March for the $800,000. So I'll be back to the board to ask for some documents to be signed. I just wanted to give y'all an update of the progress. Do you have any questions?
Does this project?
Try that again.
Where does this project extend to? Does this just pick up from the
It
end of
just picks up
Belfast?
on the end
Goes
of
all the way up
Belfast,
to Airhead?
Airhead, yeah, all the way. And Hazard County has already come down from their end across the county line.
Okay.
So it would be connecting Tazewell and Russell up through that road eventually, is what we're hoping to do.
Did you hear that, Debbie?
No, I'm sorry.
It,
See,
we got it. You're good.
Everybody, if you have any questions, just, you all can let me know if you have any questions, or, we'll be proceeding with the project.
Public comment. Anybody have any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll close the Belfast Waterline Extension public hearing. Second one we have is the Russell County Erosion and Sediment Ordinance. Does anyone have any comment on that? Any questions? All right, basically, this is a mandated ordinance that we have to control erosion, sediment on any ground disturbance. And in order to meet our state mandates, we are presenting this ordinance.
I'll just say briefly in reviewing the code section in the ordinance, most of it is a form ordinance that has been formulated by the state. There are some things that the county are allowed to select, such as setting the fee schedule, and I know the proposed ordinance for you all tonight would be, and Lonzo can talk more about that. So there is a provision that will apply just to commercial and industrial entities as opposed to residential permits. So he can discuss that a little more right now or when, but most of it is just a form, and it's something that you all are required to do.
And for me to elaborate a little bit more on it, like Katie said, one of the decision currently the Russell County Board of Supervisors, this is a total new ordinance. The old one was a little antiquated. It did not meet the terms and conditions of the Department of Environmental Quality. One of the things that was up for, that was in your packet, that was highlighted, there was 3 things that were highlighted in your packet. The first one was the Plan Improvement Authority, which is Russell County, may approve a certificate of competence required for an agreement in lieu of a plan for construction of a single-family home residence. This, again, it's up to the decision of the Board of Supervisors. And this is the way we currently do business, but I did highlight it. That is one of the decisions y'all can make. And if the violation, and we still have somewhat control on it, if a violation does occur during the land disturbing activity, then the person responsible, which usually majority of the time is the landowner, which is building the house, or the contractor, for carrying out the agreement in lieu of the plan shall correct the violation and provide, correct the violation. So if you're building a local residence, then they have to correct DNS controls. And the second thing that was highlighted, of course, was the fee schedule. Currently, we charge $100 for the as far as the administration fee, and I have that. I think it's 23 years old, something like that. I asked for an increase to 150. That's in y'all's packet. The third thing that was an optional within the code was, of course, a bond, performance bond, and that was very important to us. We discussed it with the Department of Environmental Quality. Again, we changed some of the terminology, which is also in your packet. It's as it reads, all applicants for commercial, industrial, commercial, and retail permits shall provide a performance bond. We did not include residential in that. So that way we have a performance bond on anything that is commercial, retail, or industrial. And they can do it with either a surety, a cash escrow, or an irrevocable line of credit that is acceptable to us, to ensure that the measures taken by the locality and it's at the applicant's expense. So that's just good business due diligence. So those are the only three changes that we had within the ordinance per the Department of Environmental Quality and the Code of Virginia.
I got a question. Does this supersede USDA guidelines on their project planning, on farm, ponds, fencing? When they allocate funding, when you file an application, or the farmers file an application to do these projects, and it exempts ponds and areas like that. I mean, they have their own rules.
Right. I think
Agriculture.
So agriculture, I noticed I'm reading here, it says agriculture and internet operations include but not limited to construction of terraces, outlets, dams, distilling basins, dikes, ponds, not required to comply with the provision of the Dam Safety Act. So just give me some clarity.
Okay.
Does this exempt
Okay.
the USDA guidelines for agriculture?
Which paragraph you on?
I'm H. Let's see. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Agriculture is dictated under the guidelines of DCR, Department of Conservation and Recreation.
Okay.
That is a different agency.
Okay.
This is Department of Environmental Quality for erosion and sediment. Anything that's agriculture is going to be taken care of through your local soil and water.
Okay,
that's correct.
And who is working with your Farm Service Agency and the USDA program.
Thank you, Lou. I appreciate that. That was my question. I just want to get a little clarity on that.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace.
I thought it was separate. I just want to get clarity.
All right, any questions? Any public comments? Step up, please.
My name's Sean Mans, District 1. I was reading through your thing here, the ordinance list, and one part where it says, section 10, violation of this ordinance shall be guilty of class 1 misdemeanor. Is that a little graphic? I mean, class 1 misdemeanor, that's the level.
If I may, I would have to double check that, but like I said, most of this is prescribed by the Code of Virginia. They really don't have a lot of discretion in that. I think that's just the penalty so it's not necessarily the Board of Supervisors deciding that. It's something that but I would have to verify that. I'm not telling you that is a absolute fact.
Subject to control law, they need not across the county. So we're liable across the county, but it's Virginia's law.
The misdemeanor would be something that's prescribed, and that's a criminal offense. Now there could be civil penalties as well as and damage and cleanup and things like that. So I mean, sometimes when there are criminal penalties, there's also fines that go with that as well. So they're not exclusive.
Anyone else? Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we'll close the soil and erosion sediment ordinance. Next is the county property transfer to the county IDA. Any comments?
Ernie, do you want to speak
Ernie,
on that?
you want to speak to this?
Madam Chair, Ernie McFadden, Russell County IDA. This piece of property in question is a 2-acre piece of property that we owned originally and had transferred to the county a few years back because the county had a project that they were going to do on this particular piece of property. I think, Alonzo, that has changed now, and that is actually going to be done on a different piece of property that the county has acquired. And we have a business we're working with here that's going to locate and build a building and occupy this space. So we would ask that it be transferred back to us for that use.
Ernie, is that little piece of property up there that butts up against the 3 vehicles?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I've got it up on the screen. If
Yeah,
y'all want
it's
to-
just that small corner. There's a very small amount of this buildable, but we're going to do our best to make use of what's there.
It,
So,
Thank you.
any comments or discussion? He's requesting that we transfer this back to the IDA. Any comments or discussion? We'll close that part of the public hearing. Next on our agenda is the presentations, and first is Dr. Greg Brown with the Russell County Public Schools. Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Lester, members of the board. Tonight I have what I would call an information item for the board's consideration and discussion, something that we can move forward, hopefully as we continue our partnerships. 4.5 years ago, the Board of Supervisors approached the school board about revitalizing, rejuvenating our agriculture, horticulture, beef management programs. These programs had went by the wayside at that point in time. Honeacre High School was the only school that still had a program in place, and it was a very robust program, and that was driven by their instructor, Mr. Monk, who'd been there for many years. With that, Lebanon High School had not had a program for 30 plus years. Castlewood had a program, and it had dissolved as well. So at that point in time, we just had the one high school with the program. Since then, since that partnership 4.5 years ago, and the investment on both sides with the Board of Supervisors and Board of Ed, we were able to rejuvenate those programs. And all 3 of our high schools now have barns that have been built for the beef management side of things and livestock management. We also have mini greenhouses at all 3 high schools, and a state-of-the-art 40 by 70 greenhouse at our vocational school for the horticulture program that is really something to behold. These programs have been growing and so forth. When you tag to that the work that the Board of Supervisors has done with approaching and bringing in new businesses and so forth to the area, I think we have an opportunity that, again, the school system would like to bring forth before the Board of Supervisors for consideration for an additional partnership. And that is the next step. With our programs and so forth, again, the Honeacre program, we continue with that program. It's a very robust program, and that's still going strong. Castlewood program is up and going. It's a fledgling program, but it's growing as well. The Lebanon High School program is actually growing exponentially. We have enrollment numbers that I'll share with the board here in a moment that are just incredible. 150 plus students that are interested in this program that wasn't even in existence 5 years ago. Now, the problem that we're running into now is capacity. These programs, again, have been absorbed by our students. There's interest. But the problem, again, is the capacity. The capacity being really at all three high schools, but specifically at Lebanon High School. So what I have tonight is a discussion for the board, a presentation dealing with where we're at in the county with all three high schools, and specifically for a need to take that next step in the county on these programs that is dedicated to, in this case, Lebanon High School. So if you would, take a look at the program that I have for you there, and we'll start with the first few pages. The first page is a schematic of where we're looking at putting a new agriculture shop, if you will. We do not have this at Lebanon High School. We do have a facility at Castlewood High School, again, a much larger, robust facility at Honeacre High School, but Lebanon High School has 0 facilities for this. We have the barn, we have the greenhouse, but again, those cannot support the programs that are required for us to maintain and build our horticulture, agriculture, and beef management, livestock management programs here in Russell County. So when you look at the schematic again, what we have is the concept of building, adding a shell building, ag facility for Lebanon High School. This is a 40 by 50 structure on a 40 by 70 slab. The front porch, if you will, there is the 20 feet that is not inside of the building there. But again, this is designed to take us to that next level with our programs in Russell County, in this case, particularly Lebanon High School. What you have there on the upper right are welding booths. The bottom area of the structure there, you'll see there's areas for planter tables, drill presses, etc. Again, industrial equipment running on 220, 240. The center squares, 4 squares that you see are mobile tables and so forth. And then the left you have bathrooms, mechanical room storage, and a small office facility. And then to the very top left is dust collection area. This will allow us to continue to build and expand our program. We're to the point now, enrollment-wise, that we need to possibly consider adding another instructor, which is just incredible in 4.5 years, and we're to that point. So again, it's a great opportunity. And when I think about the things that this board has done with bringing in businesses to the area, and acknowledging things like our race program that we have in place now through the partnership with the Board of Ed and Board of Supervisors. We were the first school system in Southwest Virginia to bring forth a race program for our students. At Southwest Virginia Community College, the first. Now, every county that feeds that program or that school has a similar program to what you put together with the race program. They have the hydroponics program in place. That's another opportunity for us to extend and grow. But when I think about the businesses that have come into this area, how powerful would it be to take those businesses and take them to a state-of-the-art facility and show them some of the things that we can do? For example, Mr. Lester, I believe I sent you a link earlier today. Can we show that? This is just a 1-minute video. This is a piece of equipment. It's called a plasma table, plasma welder.
Hang on just a second.
That's fine. We don't necessarily need a volume.
See.
I'll ask a question. Are you going to use your CTE funds to put all the tools in this building?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, This piece of equipment that we're showing you is actually already purchased, already on site, and we're ready to install that piece of equipment. Problem is we don't have a place to install it. Okay? We actually have $60,000 worth of equipment for Lebanon High School for this agriculture shop purchased on site today. So we're really excited. One of the things that I want to show you, that's on the screen now, is an agriculture supply inventory. So, let's talk about that just for a minute. I've mentioned all three high schools, and again, this isn't just for Lebanon High School. This is the next step for Russell County. What you have here is an inventory of equipment: arc welders, miter saws, again, heavy industrial equipment that runs on 220 and not 110, 120. Again, 97 pieces of equipment are at Honeacre High School right now. Again, a very robust program. Is doing well. 26 pieces at Castlewood, and we actually have just signed a purchase order for over $10,000 worth of more equipment, specifically for Castlewood High School. And again, this inventory that you see here for Lebanon High School, there's 6 pieces of equipment that we have right now, and 5 of those are hand tools. That's all we have for over 150 students. And what we've done is we've been able to focus our attention on the beef management side and the side dealing with livestock and so forth. But we need to get back to this. We need to give respect to these requirements in the curriculum. If you look at the previous page, you'll see the enrollment numbers. Again, Castlewood High School, Honeacre High School, Lebanon High School, 2016-2017. Again, Honeacre High School had a program in place, 66 students. Castlewood High School, 62, the very first year of rekindling this program. And Lebanon High School, 21. And then you look at the jumps. 2017-18, you see jumps for Lebanon High School up to 70. Honeacre High School and Castlewood, again, held steady around that 60 mark. Lebanon High School the next year, 2018-19, jumps to 116 students interested. Again, around the 50-60 mark for the other 2 schools. 19-20, Castlewood 51, Honeacre 95, Lebanon High School 126. And this year's current enrollment, Castlewood 51, 67, Honeacre. 154 students at Lebanon High School are interested and enrolled in these programs. 154 kids that 5 years ago would have been enrolled in something else. And due to the focus and the dedication of this board to get back to Russell County's roots and recover from the coal industry and get back to agriculture, horticulture, beef and livestock production, this is where we're at. So I guess what we're here for tonight is just share with the board, not to ask for anything tonight, but ask for your consideration, I guess, and discussion about helping us take that next step. And that next step would be to build a shell building on the premise of Lebanon High School so that we can continue with these programs and building these programs. Again, what we were looking at for the high school, if you look on the page that Mr. Lester has, these are the items we already have, again, on site. We have a plasma welder. We have a 20-inch planer or 6-inch joiner, combination belt, disc sander, 2 meg welders, 6, again, the list goes on and on. $60,000 worth of equipment ready to go in. And Honeacre, I mentioned that we just purchased over $10,000 worth of machinery for Castlewood. For Honeacre earlier this year in August and July, we actually replaced their MIG welders. So they have 3 state-of-the-art MIG welders in Honeacre High School today. So again, if we want to continue to build these programs, we need, and we a partnership, we need to take that next step. And that's why I'm here tonight, is to share with the board that that next step would be helping with the construction of a shell building so that we can put this equipment in. Again, we've got the equipment, so it literally is just a shell building that we're constructing with concrete slab and open space so that we can put the equipment in. We have bid this project out, and that process required us to submit our ideas to the Virginia Department of Education through their guidelines and OSHA requirements and their regulations, which obviously is going to be very, 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 very strict when you deal with juveniles and giving them the access to this type of equipment. We had to make some adjustments. We were thinking that we might be able to do this on our own. We were thinking with the project we did with building the gymnasium for Copper Creek Elementary School, we could use that as kind of a guide. That's about what we need to build. Well, again, we had some surprises when we submitted that. So we have put that out to bid. The bids have been received. The bids have been evaluated. And the lowest bid, and it was by one of our local contractors, was for $280,000 for the entire project turnkey. A little expensive, but with that being said, we went back to the drawing board with that contractor and said, can we get the price down? So with us, our maintenance crew doing some of the work, we can get this price down to about $195,000. And again, we're talking about a architectural block, split face block, whatever verbiage you want to use. We could use local providers for that with E.B. Dillon. We could ask them to have that conversation, maybe get the price down even a little bit more. But just visually, what this structure is going to look like is going to be a cinder block building. It's going to be 40 by 50. It's going to be built on a 40 by 70 slab. In it, you're going to have an office, storage. You're going to have a restroom. You're going to have a mechanical room, dust collection area. And then you're just going to have a big open space, if you will, with those welding booths that you saw in the schematic, the drawing in the upper right-hand corner. And then other than that, the plasma table will be on the upper left. And then the rest of that building or the rest of that room will just be open. We would have drop power. We would have those machines in there appropriately located, if you will. Again, there's tremendous guidelines. Number of kids that can be in there. Minimum square footage per student that's in there, height of the facility, just again, all of these things kind of drove that price up. So that's where we were at. When you look at the next section, agriculture courses offered at Lebanon High School, really I need to change that to say agriculture courses offered at all of our high schools. Okay, and as you look through that, you see all the courses that we currently offer. And you'll see why we need this. Maintenance of home appliances and equipment, study of plumbing, electrical wiring, carpentry fundamentals, mechanics, agricultural mechanics, applications for mechanical skills to farm, power, and machinery, operating, maintaining farm machinery and equipment, and in planning and constructing farm buildings and facilities. So there's 2 pages of courses that we currently offer, and you'll see references in each of those course descriptions to the needs or why we need this type of facility. When you have electives in agriculture, horticulture, beef, livestock management, we have sequences. So you have a follow-up course available, and that's the next section that you have there. You have the alignment with each course, and then the courses that you can take after that, the sequence with that, based on what you would like to specialize in. Some of these courses we offer, some we don't. That would be an opportunity. If we could expand our programs, we could, if we could expand our facilities, we could expand our program offerings. Excuse me, that's what I'm trying to say. When you look at the next section, again, you have those courses, agriculture courses that can be taught by licensed agriculture teachers, which all of ours are. So there you have a significant list of additional courses that we could offer. Again, we have the hydroponics program going in at Southwest that is just, or above Southwest, it's just absolutely incredible. Millions of dollars have been pumped into that program, and it's going to be really exciting to see that happen. How great would it be for us to have a hydroponics program eventually here to where we can say, we got kids ready to go. Absolutely. All right? We got kids ready to go up there right now and make $15, $18 an hour. They graduate here. If they don't want to go to college, then that's fine. Okay? If they do, that's fine too. We've got the race program. We can get them in. We can get 2 years under the belt. They can go to any place they want to go. But in the same breath, if they don't want to do that, if they want to go to work, here's $18, $20 an hour jobs right here that we can do. These programs are things that would be the future. Agriculture clusters is the last thing that we have. And it just simply shows you the grouping of all of these courses that I've described and spoke about that are mentioned in the presentation. So tonight I bring that to the board for their consideration, for your consideration, to see if we can continue that partnership, whether it be through reversion money at the end of the year, whether it be through a line item that we commit to at some point in time here in the spring if we have funds available. Whether we look for our friends with the Department of Agriculture or look for them for grants, I think it would be easily defendable to tag this with those types of programs, whether it be the CETA, whether it be the Workforce Development Board. I think there's opportunities out there that would easily be defendable to tie into this. And the end result would be, again, we can continue to grow these programs. We have Honeacre in a pretty good place right now. We just had $10,000 worth of materials or building supplies, building equipment ordered for Castlewood. We can continue to grow that program. We can get this program off the ground, which is really where it's at right now. We've been able to focus everything to the barns and the greenhouse, but we got to give respect to the other components of these programs.
I appreciate your leadership and
Absolutely.
vision, because everything evolves, and Ernie's here with the chairman of the IDA. Ernie can tell you, with education involved in industrial development, and we've been really blessed. I mean, there's a lot of companies that's tied to agriculture. We've worked really hard to try to get some agriculture industries back here. I said there's no need to reinvent the wheel, but they're going to be looking for quality workers. And I think you're really getting ahead of the game here. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm in support. I think if you make a good investment, you get a good return. And you can't invest enough in our children. And by getting them trained, some of them are not going to go to a 4-year, 8-year school. But these technical trades have got to be instrumental. I mean, plumbers make $35 an hour. They're going to be able to stay here at home and work here, and that's our vision, is to keep them here. Let them go to work here locally, build a house, raise a family. And I appreciate that, because this partnership, relationship, and growth also helps us when we're out here trying to get these companies to locate in Russell County or Southwest Virginia. And Ernie can tell you, some of these programs that you have aligned, it's like the chicken and an egg. What do you do first? So we took a lot of risk, stuck out there and tried to get things to happen. And I think it's just a blessing. I really do. I think the good Lord above that we're getting these industries in here, and jobs and job creation. And I think Ernie would tell you from the IDA's perspective, it helps them to sell it. If they have that piece of education that says, here we're going to train your workforce here with our education program. And we've invested all this into this and that. And it really goes a long way, because most of the counties you see in the region are not taking those risks and making those investments. And I think a lot of this is preparing us to get them going from one stage to the next.
The initial risk we took 4.5 years ago has definitely paid off.
Oh, yeah.
The proof is here.
I remember when we sat down and first talked about this, just trying to revitalize these 3 programs. Never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined Lebanon High School would take off like that. I remember the first year they had the lowest enrollment, but the next year they doubled, basically, and I can see they actually more than doubled. But this is just outstanding, and it ties back into some of the industry that the IDA is bringing in right now. We're agricultural based, and I would think you might even talk about a partnership.
Exactly. I was thinking about the IDA. You mentioned IDA, and I didn't mention them earlier. I think that's a great partnership. That's $40,000. I'm just kidding. Well, but if we can get several agencies to help in this product.
Well, the one thing I realized when I see this, you operate kind of like my wife. You buy all the equipment, and I have to have something to put it in.
That's pretty smart, Dr. Brown.
My wife has all these flowers, and somehow I ended up building a greenhouse.
Well, we had federal funds that were available to us at the end of the year that we weren't expecting, so we took advantage of those federal funds, and we said, no problem, we can take care of that. So, again, to Mr. McFadden's responsibilities too, think how powerful it would be to have a business come in. You take them up to Lebanon High School, you take them in there, and you take them to a student, and you let the student take them over to that plasma table, which, by the way, will cut 1.5 inch slabs of metal. 1.5 inches. Okay? So take them over there to that table and let them let the student cut out the seal of Russell County,
Right.
or maybe that company's logo, and give that to that company as a parting gift as they go back and consider where they want to put their roots in Southwest Virginia. You know, give them a takeaway.
Well,
Let a kid do it.
some of the projects, you know, with growing a healthy product like fish, and with salmon, with trout, and some of the other things that we have the ability to do. One thing I would encourage you to maybe look forward is maybe putting in some aquaculture type. We partner up. Let Ernie work with you. Get you in touch with the owners of the company and say, hey, they might want to make an investment. Once they come and tour the facility and they look at it and say, hey, man, this is awesome. You're doing a good job. Right? They might want to make an investment into adding to where you can raise the babies and transfer them out or whatever. But that would give a lot of hands-on opportunity.
Absolutely. The horticulture program at the at a vocational school, very proud of that. I think everyone's been there and visited that facility. That's still in its infancy there too. That program is growing, and those numbers, by the way, aren't in that. Those are for the 3 high schools. But with that program alone, just to give you an idea how self-sufficient that program is in this short of time, they have in that facility twice a year we have sales, Christmas and this year maybe not, but Christmas sale and then a sale in the spring. Over $10,000. And we take that money and put it right back into the program. We have self-watering systems and so forth for the hanging baskets. If you've been in there during Christmas to see literally 400 hanging poinsettias. I mean, it's just impressive to see that. But that's what we've got. We're tickled to death with it. We're very proud of it. And again, this is just an opportunity for us to take that to the next level. Whether it be us finding $280,000 and make it a turnkey job, and we can have it up and going. And really, the contractor has said that he's holding the spot for us in his calendar. Okay.
Well, if there's financing opportunities that we can expand it over a period of time, and the payment's minimal to be able to pursue and be able to do it, I will tell you personally, for me, I'm committed for the growth and stability of our young people.
What kind of construction schedule are you looking at?
Can
it be up and ready for next school session?
If this is something we can move on in the next couple of months, yes. Really. I mean, again, it's the complexity of the structure is really not in existence. It's a very simple structure. It's just just a big rectangle that's hollow in the middle. Really, the biggest thing would be getting the power to the unit, getting the water to the unit, and getting, I guess, sewage away from the unit. That's really it. The rest of it is known quantities for them. And again, you've got $60,000 worth of equipment on that page right there that's ready to go in. And we would take whatever time it would take, whatever manpower it would take to get that equipment in place. And yes, there's a good chance that we could have it ready for the start of hopefully a normal school year next year.
I'm impressed with the equipment, but I'm impressed with the numbers. I mean, you're going to have a place for 154 kids.
Well, and again, if this continues, we're going to have to add a second instructor there, which is just absolutely, again, 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
We had nothing there. And the building, when they built the building 35 years ago, it did not have anything associated with an ag program. I don't know what the motivation was for the design at that point in time, but literally the only place to put something like this inside that building right now is the middle of the gym.
Well, agriculture is one of the largest industries we have in this region.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think we can grow anything, raise anything basically here, and got some of the best water quality in this whole region. I'm really impressed. I appreciate the hard work, dedication. Somebody's doing something right, or you wouldn't be growing.
And again, it's us though. The school system couldn't do it without the partnership that we've established with the Board of Supervisors. I mean, how many projects have we taken on together over the last 4.5 years? A dozen? Projects probably. At least I would think that we've taken on. And again, nothing massive like returfing a football field or something of that nature. And eventually, maybe we can get to that point again. I know that you have commitments also to some other major projects in the county. But again, something of this nature, at this scale, and, you know, again, with this price tag, you know, I think it's something that we could hopefully, with you know, the partnership with Ernie and some other groups and so forth, and board of supervisors and board of ed, you know, if we could get 3 or 4 entities and get, you know, $50,000-$60,000 per entity, I mean, really, we could make this happen. We could have this ready to go at the beginning of next school year.
Well, I chair the Go Virginia Ag Committee, and we had a Zoom meeting this morning. And I mean, you're setting a precedent because all these other counties are now taking the lead. They're wanting to. I mean, they're not taking the lead, but they're following these opportunities. They're seeing what needs to take place. And I think those investments, and you know, we took a risk, but I feel very confident that you know, you can see it's paying off. And like I said, I think the kids in Southwest Virginia, Russell County are your best investment. You know, whatever we got to do this, I'll be for it.
Would you say the kids, the reason they're into this program so much is they respond to that hands-on?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I've seen from them. I think they like to go out there and they want to put their hands on it.
Well, there's two powerful variables. That very thing, you know, are they tactile and orientation? Do they want to do that? Do they want to see and deal with the mechanical aspect of something? How does it work, or what have you? That, along with a powerful instructor.
Yeah.
You know, if you have, and this is true for all electives, art, music, again, all electives. You have to have that dynamic instructor, that teacher the kids want to go to and want to talk to and want to engage and so forth. And I think that's why Mr. Monk was so successful for so long. He had a wealth of knowledge. He understood how to do these things from his own background. And then his education, again, made that process grow. And then kids like to be around it. They like to engage. They like to be out there. They like to do that stuff. You know, and think about it. How useful would it be for a student to have the ability to simply weld a broken tine back onto a piece of equipment?
Absolutely.
You know, and that's something that we can do in a week, safely, appropriately, following the OSHA guidelines for dealing with juveniles and this type of equipment. But we can do that. And how useful would that be to that family? And you know what? You're talking about making some money. You're talking about plumbers, welders. You know, when I was a principal at Giles High School, I had a kid who had made some poor decisions periodically throughout his high school career. I dealt with frequently. And he went and he is an underwater welder, works out at the Naval Yard in Norfolk. And he makes $85 an hour starting out doing underwater welding on ships, repairs on ships, so forth. Starting out, I mean, again, the opportunity's there for skilled labor. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair.
Next on the agenda is Mr. Powers.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you for members of the board for the opportunity. I was asked to provide a summary of the external funding from Russell County Emergency Management. There's a yellow folder with a spreadsheet at the very front of the folder that I passed out. If you look going across the top of it, it'll show the dates that we received PPE from the Virginia Emergency Support Team. And at the bottom of that column, you'll see a total. Those totals and those shipments go across the page until page 6 of this spreadsheet. If you'll turn to page 6, the spreadsheet will show that we have received $277,000, $627.10 of PPE that we needed for EMS and emergency management and emergency services.
I only have 5 sheets. So there's supposed to be 6.
There should be the total at the bottom of the last page.
$2,396.
I've got 2 of them, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Okay.
See, you grabbed them off.
They were stapled together.
Okay, got it.
Madam Chair, are you with me?
Got it. Yep,
Okay.
Steve had my sheet.
Okay. Sorry about that. If you look at the column AT on line number 23, it will show that we have received $277,627.10. That includes 2,399 N95s, 100 KN95s, 41,280 surgical masks, 1,210 disposable coveralls, 2,540 disposable gowns, 35,000 gloves, 340 goggles, 767 face shields, 680 boot covers, 220 hair covers, and 200 emergency RGs, response guides, 5,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, 100 body bags, 1,700 flyers about COVID safety and safety protocols, 30 thermometers, 12 disinfectants, two 5 gallons of hand sanitizer, and 6 Lysol 24-ounce cans.
Are these things purchased off the government list?
These are purchased from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management for the Virginia Emergency Support Team.
And they are replacement items from, if the squads use them, then they are replaced to our county agencies, right?
Every Monday I have to pull from all the emergency support agencies on what they have used in PPE and prepare a report to send to the Virginia Emergency Support Team. That's an all-day activity because I have to get call reports and also identify that those calls were COVID related calls.
I just did not realize that those N95 masks that I saw nurses wearing today were $39 a piece.
What the county has been able to buy have been $79.95. So that is the FEMA contract price of $39.95.
So this is replacement from the state to
Yes,
us.
it is. It is replacement for what we've used, and we have not been able to purchase on our own because these items have not been available through Amazon or through our local suppliers. We just got our first shipment of N95s from the CARES Act 2 weeks ago.
Have you run into a situation where you needed something and you can't get it? Is there a particular item on you that's not listed that you really need?
Back at the end of July, we had a surge in cases, and the local EMS agencies, the health department, nor the Southwest Virginia Emergency Council could provide the N95s needed to protect their EMS agencies. So we did an emergency order through our Emergency Operations Center. We opened it back up and requested it. The next morning, we had a shipment to meet that need from the Virginia Emergency Support Team. But it takes a lot of paperwork to get that done.
Oh, I see.
So, and those shipments are weekly, and our care shipments have been weekly. CARES Act funded. So we're getting 2 shipments a week of truckloads of supplies that we need.
During the winter months here, we're going into a cold area session of winter. I've noticed some of these, like Washington County, they set up tents, to do the drive-throughs.
Yes.
Is that a possibility that you could get those types of emergency type tents for people to have access through, and not just everybody outside in the weather?
That's an item that we've been trying to get,
Okay.
but they're not available.
Okay.
So we're using things like the farmers market here that's got the cover, and we're working with Dr. Brown on a mass testing site next week
Oh, okay.
at the high school under the underhang. We're going to pull the cars under. The National Guard is going to come and do up to 800 tests. And we're calling it Know Before You Go to Grandma's, because we'll get the test results back a week before Christmas. So we're hoping that that will defer people from visiting their relatives. Like in Thanksgiving, we had 154 cases this past week. So we're hoping to let people know you are COVID positive. Please do not visit your elderly residents or elderly family members. And then that's going to be a format that we're going to use for the mass vaccinations once we get the vaccine available.
Thank you, Jason.
If we continue down the column, I've listed the other things that we're going to be refunded for or reimbursed for or have been reimbursed for. The Cleveland flood, we're working with them to replace a pump station that was damaged during the flood that we had. We're looking at the campground that was damaged, our electrical work, the piers at the new footbridge in Cleveland, and some other items that fell under the flood guidelines. That's $18,000 that we're working on to get reimbursed to Russell County. We have received an EOC generator. It's also in your package to approve tonight. That EOC, the Emergency Operations Center generator, that will power the whole building of where I'm located for emergency management and the voter registration office. It was almost $14,000 for the generator, but if we had to separate the voter registration office and emergency management, that would have been about $28,000 because the wiring in the building has one source and one panel. So it was cheaper just to disconnect the incoming line, hook up the generator, and then plug it back in. So it's a straightforward issue. It should take about a month to install and complete. That generator was $13,552. We also have the local emergency management performance grant. That's up to $15,000. They will reimburse the county for $7,500 of that. That covers the deputy coordinator, but the deputy coordinator does not. His budget line is not up to $15,000. It's only at $11,000. So that's something for the board to consider. Our funding for the LEMPG 2020 grant of my associated costs was $2,398.81. That is wages that have been refunded back to the county. The CERT training, where I conducted a training class, that is reimbursement of my wages. The PSA flood, I just got the documentation this week to start the uploading, the request for reimbursement. It was $120,000 plus $3,000 of my time. So that reimbursement will be $123,100.06. We also had a grant for the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, located in my office. That was $49,741. That provided the equipment to furnish and operate the Emergency Operations Center according to the state code. Also in that funding, we used $10,000 of that funding to address an issue that Lou had requested for us to resolve. And that is with the Tahoe, does not communicate with the police, EMS, and fire radios. So we used $10,000 of that grant to upgrade the Tahoe to be able to communicate with fire, rescue, and EMS. So that will resolve a date issue that we had during the flooding. The Honaker Bridge project is going to replace a bridge that was damaged during the flood. The middle pier was flooded out, and the water department cannot get over to fix their pump station that's across the bridge. That's also used for residential use for some people that live on that side. We had an emergency there a couple of weeks ago. They could not take an ambulance across the bridge, so they actually had to carry the patient from their home using that bridge as a footbridge to load the patient into the ambulance. So they're working on that. We've got the contract in place. That should be finished in a couple of months. Under the FEMA COVID-19 grant, I can charge my overtime. That overtime has been paid by the county, and I needed to generate this report before I billed FEMA for that overtime of $5,457.48. The COVID wages under the CARES Act, I've calculated by going back and pulling out the numbers from my timesheets, $27,333.57. That was reported last week to Lonzo and Alicia so that we could get it included into the CARES Act before the end of the month. We have a PPE transport that's going to be available probably next week, $43,711.50. The CARES PPE, the Board of Supervisors and the CARES Committee allocated $50,000 to develop a stockpile or a cache of PPE, and all we have been able to get in is the $41,361. We still have orders that are backlogged, and it's difficult for us to get. We're competing with the federal government and all the states. The Lebanon flood project is $68,000, so we're finishing the details on that, hopefully to be reimbursed soon. The total of the external funding for emergency management for this year, from January 1 through December 9th, is $760,000, $848.57. Associating the funding with the flood, we are going to be reimbursed $254,100.06 for the flood. Grants so far this year have been $364,815.06. The CARES Act funds for emergency management equals $141,931.45. And we wrote, Russell County Emergency Management wrote 2 school grants to provide PPE to the school. One for the instructors and teachers and maintenance staff, N95s, and other equipment that they need, gloves and gowns. And that came to $42,505. Also included in the school grant was an equity grant. We had 5,000 masks provided by the Governor's Office of Equity, and 2,500 bottles of hand sanitizer that went to the school, and 2,500 bottles of hand sanitizer for communities in need. It's an equity grant. It's not a quality grant. Equality, you give everybody a mask and a bottle of hand sanitizer. But what this grant does is to make people equal that can't have the ability to find or afford the hand sanitizers and the masks. Like the grandmother that's taking care of 3 kids that are in school, and her income is less than $10,000. So we're looking for individuals like that, communities of color, and disparaging communities. so that we can help protect them as well. Is there any questions on that?
I know you have a good relationship. I serve on the board up here at Appalachia Agency for Senior Citizens.
Yes.
And I know that's a good partnership relationship from my experience, no longer than I've been on there, but I think it's very critical. I know a lot of grandparents are shut in, and
Yes.
you know, it's been really tough on a lot of our senior people. And I know they've provided extremely great service with the conditions, you know, to be able to go out even with the young kids that they're working with. Now, I just want to tell you, I appreciate that relationship, partnership with that, because I think working together across those lines makes a huge difference.
They are one of our partner agencies that went in with us on this equity grant.
Right.
Also, the home health care nursing programs and companies have also partnered with us as well.
Right. Well, I appreciate it.
Yesterday, we did a fit testing trainer course. So that also helps us too, because we've got a number of PPE N95s, but according to OSHA, you cannot wear a PPE unless you have been fitted for it, an N95. You have to go through a medical evaluation and a questionnaire, and then be fitted for that particular N95. And I've got more on that attached to this presentation. I also included a letter of the Health Equity Leadership Pilot Program that is also gives you information about the program. And then the next thing that I have, it's a landscape page, and it talks about my responsibilities as the emergency management coordinator, and it lists how much of my wages have been charged to each of the different programs. If you look at the grants, under the grants, I've been able to charge $15,627.90 to those grants of my wages. The flood, I can charge $25,836.99. The FEMA COVID overtime, $5,457.48. The CARES COVID, as I mentioned before, was $27,333.57. The wages that can be reimbursed to the county of my wages is $74,255.94. Is there any questions on that? Thank you for taking an interest in emergency management. I know I've answered, you've had a lot of questions, and hopefully I've been able to answer those for you. Anybody else? Okay, the next handout that I have is OSHA 29 CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, Part 1910. It talks about personal protective equipment. Employers must assess the workplace to determine if hazards are present or are likely to be present, which necessitate the use of personal protective equipment. During COVID, personal protective equipment is required. So we're moving forward to meet this Code of Federal Regulations, 1910-134. The respiratory protection standard requires a respiratory program, medical evaluation, fit testing, use of respirators, training, record keeping, fit testing, procedures, and the medical questionnaire. We were trained yesterday, Levi Horton and I, and 14 other people attended the training. We now have 16 people trained in Russell County to be a fit tester and also to train other fit testers. We were also fit tested and medically evaluated to wear the proper PPE. So we're going to meet the OSHA requirement, 1910-134. Before you can be fitted for a N95, you must complete the medical evaluation prior to the initial fit testing and use on the job. The medical questionnaire has to be completed, reviewed by a licensed medical provider, and my deputy coordinator is a registered nurse. So that's another benefit that we have, is because he can review the questionnaire and he can approve that you are capable and able to be fitted for a N95. OSHA says that no employee will be permitted to work with a respirator until trained in respiratory protection. If we don't follow OSHA guidelines, they can cite employers for failure to not perform the respiratory protection program. And we're almost there. The next thing we need to do is to complete a plan, a respiratory program plan, and that's something that I need permission from the board to continue with. Or if you have any questions on that. Because I don't think COVID is going away, and we do have the N95s. And OSHA has cited numerous facilities in Virginia and fined them up to $432,000 since September. And we don't want to be a target on that radar. So any questions on the...
You said you needed permission from the board. I guess the chair, of course, I mean, it's board you and Carl. Have you reviewed this? Have a recommendation in regards to that, as far as what Jess is requesting?
David, we just went through the training yesterday, so this is all new.
So, I mean,
I'll say it.
okay.
Never heard of it before this
Yeah, I
time.
mean, I'm just asking.
So that's something we just need to wait, because
Okay.
he can provide us written
More
material to
detailed
read,
information.
send it out to us.
Okay.
Carl, you're the director. Had you heard anything? Horace, had you heard anything about this, about that training he's talking about? Yeah.
The fit test.
Training plan and all
I
that.
think you guys need to meet with him.
So y'all need to meet,
Yeah.
and Carl's the director and Horace is the assistant, so you need to meet with them and talk it up with them.
Can you move forward without direction from the board at this point in time with your plan?
But we don't want to expend the time unless, it's not assigned to us, to emergency management. So we will wait for that decision.
You are required to do it.
We are required to do a plan. But we had to
Well, I
be,
think you might as well move forward.
I think you're
Required
right.
forward.
Get with get with your director and assistant director.
But that, what I'm, and I don't mean to interrupt or belabor the conversation, but won't that cost us another month of no plans? So
It will.
are you asking for this board to help you make a decision today to say,
Or my director or assistant
does it
director.
have to come from them, or is it your board or this board?
Well, it's a program addition to emergency management. And the only person that's qualified in the county to sign off on the fit testing is the deputy coordinator.
Jess, maybe I can help you clear up. Does this need to become part of the ELP, or does you just need guidance to continue training until you get the plan in place?
This is a standalone plan.
Okay.
And a requirement. This
Yep,
is
right.
an OSHA requirement and not a FEMA requirement.
Right.
So you just need to write a plan and present it and have us approve it?
Yes.
Yes, but you can continue the training in the meantime until you get the plan in place.
Yes, we are certified as trainers now.
Yes, they are.
And
They're 16.
we're certified as fit testers. So any employee that is wanting to wear an N95 to work, they have to be fit tested for the appropriate N95. We've got 10 different styles to choose from, and so we want to make sure we have the perfect fit to protect that employee 100%.
Jess, can you put that up on y'all's website of your 16 trainers? That way, it's the squads and the businesses know who is already trained the trainers. We used to call them in the state.
Well, we had one private consulting group, and then most of the other trainers are with EMS and fire departments.
Okay, good.
I think Lou's got a point here to the fact that if it's necessary, you got to do it. You got to move forward on it. It ain't a big deal. I mean, it's just you need a motion. I'll make a motion that after review from the Morris and Carl, I'll make a motion to go ahead and move forward. Just go over it with them and make sure that everything's in line.
The National Guard did a assessment of our capabilities yesterday.
Yeah.
And they're going to recommend a draft plan for us to review and then for us to complete.
I mean, like Lou said, are you going to have to wait another 30 days for us to meet again?
Is there a deadline on this?
I mean, we're putting it out there.
Is it gonna cost? Do we have to send y'all
No, it don't
somewhere to
cost.
do it or something?
No,
Okay.
we brought
I think we just need to move on.
We brought the National Guard in yesterday to train us for this program.
It's not, to me, it's not that.
So you're gonna take their template and then make it match to what the county needs? You're gonna
Correct.
take the National Guard's plan and work with it and make it fit for Russell County. So there's already that plan out there, and then Carl and Norris will work with y'all.
Madam Chair, what we did also, we knew that this was going to be an OSHA requirement, so we worked with the health department, and they declined to help us with their respiratory protection plan. We contacted the hospital, they declined as well. So we would have to send people out of the county over to WISE to occupational therapy for them to be medically evaluated and then to be fit tested. So we thought we could do that cheaper in-house, and we could go in the middle of the night if we needed to fit test somebody to make sure that they were protected.
Madam Chair, we have a motion, and I'm gonna go ahead and second it for discussion purposes, so I know we're in the middle of discussion, but anyway.
All right, David, you're making that motion?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Lou, you're gonna second it?
I will.
And you're gonna discuss.
But I would like to see this, move forward, and I think it's important that you do so. And, I don't like the idea of you having to wait on us, but I'll make that contingent also on your director and your deputy director working side by side with you, because they are our liaisons anyway. And I know that they're going to, but I'll just make that public for the record.
What I was going to suggest, Madam Chair, is if he needs approval to move forward, to approve the plan with a review at your next board meeting. That way that the board can review. I don't know that it's anything if it's a form, basically, I don't think that it's anything to change. Or if you want to just completely delegate that to the director of emergency management services to on behalf of the board, I think that's fine. But if this board wants to review it, you can preliminarily approve it, subject to review at the January meeting.
I think if it was a record, and the board review it, look at it, if they got any issues with it or anything like that, they can bring it back before the board. We can make it another determination or change anything we want, but I think 30 days out, I'm like, Blue, I mean, this is something that you might as well move forward on. Run into a bump in the road, we'll fix it. But I think after Carl Norris, review it, if they've got a problem, they call us, call the board members. So, we've got so I don't think we'll have an issue with it. I just think we need to move on.
Okay, Cal. All right, is everyone satisfied with it? Are all in favor of having them move on with it? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, board members. Mr. Christian and I met with Lonzo late last week, and we discussed the deputy coordinator position that was approved by the Board of Supervisors as a full-time position. I wrote a description proposal that's in your packet with concerns about moving forward with a full-time deputy coordinator. And the concerns that I have is that my deputy coordinator works 3 days at the hospital as a registered nurse. He works 3 days for me at 23 hours. And if we go to a full-time position with 40 hours, I may lose him. And he is key to the respiratory program as well, because you have to have a medical provider to sign off on those fit testing forms.
So what you're saying is there's nobody else that can do that besides you?
It has to be a registered nurse or a doctor.
But there is other people out there that have those credentials that could fill a full-time position.
Well, Lonzo and Mr. Christian and I, we reviewed the qualifications and what the county can pay. I don't think we can find somebody with those qualifications willing to work for that pay.
Do you have any guarantee that Levi's will stay?
Yes.
You got a guarantee that he'll stay part-time?
Yes. It's in the proposal, what he's asking for. Currently, he makes $9 an hour. And if you look at some of the site attendants at the trash disposal site, they're making $12. It varies with the hospital schedule, and I work with his schedule. I'm proposing to hire another part-time deputy coordinator to be available when Levi is not. Last year, 2 years ago, I had 2 deputy coordinators, Dr. Summerfield and Levi. And when one didn't work, the other one could.
You're talking about having 2 part-time, not full-time.
Correct. And that would give us the opportunity for me to train Levi on the grants, the the assistance, the public assistance applications, and also to bring another person on board and start the initial training with them. Because it takes about 2 years to get to the level that Levi has achieved under emergency management.
Have you all had a chance to review this, Cole? I mean, as far as the part-time versus full-time.
And if you look at we have a grant up to $15,000 that will pay 50% of those wages for that part-time deputy.
If I may, Mr. Eaton, I haven't even had a chance to review the proposed job description that Mr. Powers has provided. I mean, this is not an action item for tonight, so I mean, I think it's fine to go ahead and talk about the concerns, but this isn't anything we have to take any action on tonight.
No. This is,
None of us have seen this till
Well,
this
I think
name.
your coordinator, deputy coordinator, probably need the ones with you to come make recommendations.
The whole idea of the full-time system was to alleviate the overtime issue, give you time to take time off. Now, whether you do it full-time or do part-time, I think it's kind of irrelevant. You know, we approved the full-time, is what we approved. Right with that. But you need to get with Carl and Oris, come up with some proposals.
But
run it by Lonzo first. He's our one employee.
Yeah.
Everybody else works for him.
well, that's the reason I generated this today, based on our discussion with Lonzo and Mr. Christian. And also in consideration of the grant that pays up to half of $15,000 that I'm not able to use currently because the part-time coordinator, his budget is only $11,000.
My only concern is, you know, you've got one coordinator that's kind of on a flex schedule. You really don't know exactly. Are you going to be able to get the other person, you know, to match it? You know, or you have to have somebody that's going to be as flexible with their schedule. And because you can't schedule an emergency, you know, you can't tell that you can't come on Thursday, you have to come on Friday.
Yes.
You don't want to overlap. I agree with that totally. I mean, you don't get yourself in a situation where you have to have 4 or 5 part-times to be able to mandate, because you don't know when the emergency will hit.
Yeah,
And
there may be times when you have to pull everybody on the emergency.
Right.
But there hopefully will be an opportunity for pencil time with all that. So, right.
Right. Because we didn't have the second deputy coordinator.
Well, I'm sure there are people out there that will help. I volunteered, but I get to hear from them. I mean, that are qualified to go out and assess damage and things of that nature. If nothing else,
like I mentioned about getting a couple people in all of our districts, get them certified. I mean, I had a federal mine inspector that retired that said he was willing. He's got all these qualifications. But he said he'd be willing to volunteer.
Well, he's helping me.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, you know, people like that in our area, county.
but you know, when there's emergencies, you've got a lot of areas to look at one time. You need some people that you can call on, if nothing else, to go out and assess the damage and quantify it.
Right.
You can put a price tag on it later.
Especially
Yeah. Need 2 or 3 people in each area.
Each district.
But they have to be trained, and that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Currently, I have 574 hours allocated.
What kind of training would they have to have?
They have to have the ICS 100, 200, 300, 400, 700, and 800 class.
In order to go out and assess damage.
Yes.
Yes.
They have to be trained. Because
More
if they
classes.
go out and assess damage and something happens and they're not trained, then they don't fall under the Good Samaritan law to assist us. So they could actually sue the county.
And
good portion of those classes,
Research.
you can do them online. You can help like that. The training's online through the FEMA. Yeah. But that'd have to be set up as a formal program.
Right.
But I'm also instructor for those classes.
I just think it'd be good to work to have those additional people.
There are people out there that
We're
are
willing
willing
to
to do
help.
this. You might as well take advantage of it.
Let me bring up something that I'm not going to say. The advantage of having two part-time, Levi's got, benefits to his nursing home. If we had two part-time, we're taking away the health benefits. If you, like Lonzo said, if we have a full-time and with benefits and pay, that's more cost for the county, and yet one full-time is not going to come in here, like Paul has talked about, when he's off, you need a third person. You not got it. That's why we toss this idea around of getting a second part-time coordinator, deputy coordinator. You don't have to pay him those benefits, but you have him the benefits of him being able to come in, fill in that time that is critical.
The benefits are 57% of the wages. So if you have a full-time person making $10,000, the actual cost of the county would be $15,700. So we would not be paying those additional benefits.
That's some of the stuff you need to document.
Yes.
Come back with your committee.
And an exact time frame. Monday, 8:30 to 4:30, Tuesday, so that you'll know when your helper is going to be there to work with you.
You won't be able to do that.
No, you
If you
can't.
do a part-time?
No.
Because his current director has a flex schedule. He may be working 3 days one week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Next week he might do Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or whatever.
Right.
Or it could be 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday
Right.
Exactly.
during the
That's why
cave
part-time-
rescue.
Yeah.
You just
That's
don't
why
know.
part-time is.
I worked there
It's
8
hard to
hours
get.
and was able to hand it over to Levi for the next 8 hours, and I went to the EOC. So he was on the field, and I was at the EOC. Yes.
Somebody out here for anything that happens at any given time, I want people to be available.
When I interviewed for Betsy's and Levi's position, those were the only two that wanted to work 24/7 on call. Of the 18 people that was interviewed, only 2 agreed to being on call and not coming in at 8:30 to 4:30. That was the hard part.
We have to be ready at any hour.
We do. Last year at Thanksgiving, I spent Thanksgiving up at Laurel Bed Lake with the family of the drowned victim because we were searching for the body of the kayaker. And I was the only one there from Russell County on Thanksgiving. But I was able to set up and schedule the rest of the recovery for the next morning. So we were able to get the teams in, the dive teams, the drone teams, so that we could locate the victim. And we did within 15 minutes of getting everybody set up.
You gotta find it.
Thank you, Mr. Powers.
Okay. Also in that package, the proposal for the deputy coordinator also included the grant approval and the acceptance in this year's budget and last year's budget for your consideration. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, board members.
Thank you. Our next item is the approval of our minutes from our November 2nd meeting. Everyone had an opportunity to read those.
Chair, make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll
Second.
second.
It doesn't matter.
10.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any discussion? Heard all those in favor? Next is approval of our expenditures, our budget, our bills for the month.
I'll make a motion.
David, thank you. Second?
Second.
Who's that?
Carl.
Carl, okay. All those, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, next is committee appointments for board consideration, and it is with the Drill Community Center.
Madam Chair, I know those people are on there. I've reached out to Betty to see if there would be any recommended changes or anything like that. I didn't get a response back. So I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and accept the ones on the list.
I'll second that.
Do as a slate. Okay, David, Rick, Tim, you seconded. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next is our citizens' comment period. And the first one I have that have signed the sheet is Jim Little with the tourism committee.
Make this,
Is it still 1660 Copper Ridge, Castlewood?
yes, it is. Till my wife will let me move. Madam Chair, Supervisors, Lonzo, just real quickly, I'll put a plug in that in Heather's office, you will find calendars you can buy to help our effort, and mugs and edge glasses and whatever else Heather has. Chances on our raffle, we've got a basket with $500 worth of value of local goods. So see Heather there for tickets or any of our TAC members. What I wanted to briefly, and Heather doesn't even know about this, it was time sensitive, so I wanted to speak today. The VTC and the DEQ are offering a course, 3 CEUs, giving certification as a certified eco tour guide through the Virginia State Park program. And I want to put, we have to have applications in by December 31st, so it's very time sensitive. But if you have any of your residents that are interested, 4 colleges, universities, VSU, Radford Tech, George Mason, along with the community college program, will apply this course towards part of their waterway management program also. So gives an opportunity. Clinch River is on it, and being it's part of the upcoming state park program, it would give someone a good chance and a leg up in getting in on it. It's $160 for the participant, students, and military, prior and current, get a discount there of 20% off of it. So I'll get the information to Heather or contact me and we can get signed up for that. But I just wanted to present that to you as the most expedient way of getting it out. Just one more way to hopefully bring, we've had one student sign up for it already from the county. So, you know, if there's any other, doesn't have to be a student, but it does provide a 4-year certification that is recognized by the Virginia State Park System. So, I thank you.
I just want to mention something. I appreciate that. It might be something you want to mention to the school board or Dr. Wright.
Okay.
Something for the seniors. Maybe look
Okay.
at. I mean, I kind of think that fits the
Okay.
criteria. There might
Well,
be some young
the teachers can use the CEUs according to what the coordinator said for their recertification on their teaching credentials also.
Oh, okay. Great.
So,
Okay.
any other questions then? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next is Jerry Connor. Is that correct? Jerry Connor. Okay, will you give us your address, please?
68 Miners Drive, Castlewood. Go ahead.
Yep.
Well, my question to you is, all these small businesses in Russell County, we're pretty well hurt. Well, the governor's coming out tomorrow with more restrictions. I was wondering what the county might, Board of Health, do like Campbell County does. And we're here in Virginia. Because they are absolutely going to kill us. And so it's getting to a point where how much of a small business, how much do we take? I mean, how much do we keep taking, shutting us down? Because this is the way I feed my family. I mean, just look at it at my point. I'm feeding my family. Walmart's can be open all they want. I mean, come on. This ain't pick and choose today. To me, it should be straight across the board. So that's just all I gotta say. I think
Jerry, you heard what is given to them.
he popped the thing on Facebook for him, goes on the governor's site. He's coming out with more restrictions tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock tomorrow.
I know you got a copy of that.
Yeah.
I've got a copy of Campbell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah. But I mean, that's small business. We're getting
at it.
murdered.
I understand.
All right, next, Kyle Lamb. State your address, please.
502 West Street, East Coburn, Virginia.
Oh.
Thank you, Chair, Lester, and the board. Reason for my hearing today is for a reappointment for Kelsey King to the Spearhead Trailblazers Board of Appointment. Her appointment is supposed to end up at the end of this year on the 31st. For our bylaws, it gets put in front of you guys for a 2-year appointment back to our board. I was hoping to present it this time. That way, on the next meeting next month, you guys could officially appoint it. Unless you guys wanted to call for a vote now for the appointment. Because he has been a great benefactor and stuff to the area. She helped us with the Paul's Night Ride, which raised about $200. And then she also helped us out with the Oxbow Ultra every year. So I just want to bring that forward during public expression time to put it on record.
That we appoint. Who did you want to appoint? Kelsey King.
She used to be the
Not on the agenda, so that's something we'll.
We have an application process too. Can you get her to fill out an application so that we can see? Because I don't know.
and indeed, and she has submitted it as a saying. So it should be in the records.
Okay, you check.
You got
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Mr. Samuel Vance. Sean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sean. I have a brother named Sam, and I just thought it was like Sam. All right, is there anyone else? Any other person who has any comments? Citizens' comment period. All right, seeing none, close. Okay. All right, our constitutional officer, Ms. Katie, you've got 6 things for us, please. No constitutional today.
Okay. The first thing I want to start with is the public hearing that we do need to amend the agenda. The public hearing that we had earlier on the transfer of property from the Board of Supervisors to the IDA, we do need to take action on that. Or it's my request to the board to take action on that. I've provided a deed. So if you all can amend the agenda just to add that as number 7 to my list.
Okay. Do we we have a motion to amend that to add it?
I'll make it.
David, thank you. You have a second?
Second.
Lou? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll add that right there, Katie, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. The first thing I have under my reports and requests is a request to approve a resolution regarding the courthouse project. The process that where we're at in the PPA process is that we have received bids and gone through and reviewed those and went through the detailed phase, and now we're to the point to pick a proposal to go with the courthouse committee, which is comprised of 2 members of this board as well as the judge and other stakeholders regarding the courthouse have selected the proposal submitted by J.A. Street and Associates, and the resolution that I have presented for you tonight, and I've worked with our consultant Curtis Ellswick with Skanska to formulate a proposal to accept and move forward with entering into an interim agreement with J.A. Street and Associates regarding the courthouse project. So I would ask you all to approve that resolution.
So do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion now, Jim.
Steve, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Lou, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
The other component to that is that we are currently working on an interim agreement pursuant to the PPEA that has to be posted for 30 days and a public hearing to be held on that to approve that interim agreement. Lonzo and Curtis and I have worked on an agreement that's been presented to J.A. Streets and Associates, and I think there may be a couple of changes that have to be made, but that's ready to be posted today, and we would be asking to set a public hearing. It has to be after January the 11th, but that week, so that we can approve that agreement and move forward with the design phase of this project. So I don't know. When I spoke with Curtis, I said I wanted to speak with the board to see what everybody's availability would be that week, if there were other meetings or anything. But would the board be available for a continued meeting in January to approve that interim agreement?
So he needs us to make, well, we'll meet the board then.
But the agreement has to be posted for 30 days. So
All right, so what will be the date?
that's I'm looking to the board for guidance on what would be a good. It has to be after January the 11th, but
After the 11th.
but if at all possible that week. So not to there are timelines in this, so we want to try to keep as close to those as we can, if the board is
The
available.
11th is on a Monday.
Yes, and so it would need to be after that day.
Let me ask you a question.
Well.
Is this something that, it's required
Yeah.
to
Yes.
have?
Yes.
Yes.
So, if it's required that you have to do it, why do we have to have, why can't we move on it with the authority to give someone the right to do this without reconvening?
You have to have a public hearing.
Okay, so you gotta have that timeline.
Yes, it has to be
It's 30
posted.
days.
And Curtis and Lonzo and
Yeah,
I
it's posted.
finalized that today, and so we're going to post that for the public to inspect. And
I
then
didn't hear, I couldn't hear you too good.
I'm
So
sorry.
The
No, you're
first
fine.
day available, Katie, would be the 12th.
Yes.
So we have a motion to make sure that we reconvene on that day to make sure we follow the guidelines for the PPEA.
Yes, and so Lonzo can go ahead and advertise that public hearing. It's just we can continue the meeting from our January meeting, so it won't be a special called meeting, but he needs to go ahead and get the advertisement out for the public
How
hearing.
do you advertise this to the public? Does it go to the paper or social media, or how does that work?
Yes, I'll double check.
All of it? Okay, all right. Yeah.
I don't know that there had to be. I'll double check. Some public hearings require a certain kind of notice. I don't know that this one was specific, but I'll double check. But
Okay.
Lonzo usually puts it out on social media and in the
Okay.
newspaper.
All right, so do we have a motion to meet on January the 12th? Or
What time?
At what time?
What time? What time?
I can do it during the day, but I can't
Okay,
that evening, but any other evening.
all right. Is 1 o'clock okay for folks, or is Carl?
This is the 12th we're
David?
talking about.
I'm on too.
Yeah, I can't do that evening. I can't do it that evening. Any other day I can do it at the evening.
can't come that evening.
Not on Tuesday, the 12th, no.
We do it on the 13th.
Well, maybe
Okay, how about the 13th? Does that suit? What's everybody's schedule looking like?
I work for free. Well, I mean, it's pretty tough on the public.
Yeah.
What time are you wanting to do, what time are you wanting to do?
They need to come.
Katie, what's good?
After
5 or 6?
Rather do it that evening?
I'm sorry, I mean, whatever works for the board. I mean, typically if you do set meetings during the day, it's harder for the public to come if they are working.
Yeah, let's just
So
do it.
this is the date for the public hearing.
Yeah, so
itself.
let's just
Yes.
do it in the evening.
You're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Kate,
Let's do it
That's why I said I couldn't do it that 12th, because I can't that evening.
Katie.
if we approve, if we go ahead and post this on December the 10th with 31 days in December, it's a 30-day clause. Can we not do the 11th, which should make it easier?
Is that going to be the day of our meeting?
It'd be over 30 days. The 11th would be over 30 days. Because if I advertise it tomorrow, which is December the
You
10th,
could almost get your regular meeting at the same time.
to January, which is 31 days in December, it's a 30-day requirement, right?
I'm just going off what Curtis said. He said after December the 11th. So I don't
okay.
know if he meant that day could work too, but that's when we spoke this morning.
Okay.
Because he has the agreement, and so he's gonna. I guess I don't know if he sent that back in final form to you or not.
Well, it's 13 at 5 o'clock.
That's fine.
Is that okay? Is that give the public time to come, Carl?
That's the Wednesday at 5 o'clock.
Okay, Oris, can you amend that to say January the 13th? That's a Wednesday.
Fine.
5. All right, January 13th at 5 for a public hearing. Oris, do we have a second?
Second.
Carl? Okay, thank you. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Katie?
The second item under me is the erosion and sediment ordinance that we had the public hearing on. Kind of discussed this briefly. It's basically something that we have to do. A lot of it is not discretionary. I know when I spoke with Lonzo today, I told him to make his recommendations. I looked at the code. I mean, there are a few things that you can choose. I mean, the feed schedule is one of those and that is something that you're required to have a public hearing before you set. Most of it is just standard language, but I'll let Lonzo, I guess, discuss more what his recommendations are for the discretionary terms. But my request would be for the board to approve that ordinance.
Okay, so you need a motion for us to approve these?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the Russell County Erosion and Sediment Ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinances upon discussion throughout the county administrator.
Okay. All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who's that?
Carl.
Carl? All right. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, I thought I was gonna have discussion
Well, okay.
Have a motion.
prior.
I'll second, and then we'll have a discussion. I'll send that. So, Lou, based on the
Discussion.
discussion, and Carl, second, now we'll discuss. David?
Well, I would like to have a little bit more time to review that. I have a few concerns as far as the way that the language is on the prosecution fee structure. Is there something that we could do is this got to happen today? Is it something we can read and review and come back to the next meeting and vote? Is it something you got to have actually tonight?
Well, Lonzo said that there is one, but it's antiquated. I was under the impression we didn't have this ordinance, but I think it's something that you can review. Obviously, we made it this far. I don't think it's something that I would take a lengthy time.
No, I'm not going to take length of time. I just hadn't had a chance to really review it or look at it.
Yeah. Is there any specific provisions that you all want me to look at?
Well, as far as the penalties,
Okay.
see what that is as far as the penalties under certain kinds of incidental situations or something like that might happen. That maybe would be the person's fault. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know who gets fined and how they get fined. I like to have a little bit more understanding of how that mechanism works.
Okay. So, I mean, the types of penalties and the types of evidence, I guess that would be.
Yeah.
Obviously, if someone is charged with a misdemeanor, they have to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt that they have committed the infraction. So.
Well, I mean, if they're going to be charged, you know, I just like to know who's going to be doing the charging. Is it the sheriff's office that's going to be doing the charging?
Yeah, if it's a crime, they'll be the ones.
I mean, if it's something that's run off in the creek or something like that, they'll go out and do the fine. I mean, as far as
the fines come from this that's mandated through the state border control law.
Okay, so they would have.
You'll have to get. I would suggest that you have someone from the Southwest Virginia DEQ office come over
I'd like to have that.
and read you these mandates that we're talking about. So.
Thank you, Luke.
Because that's what I was going to say, Katie, and this is pretty much a template from the state. I mean, we haven't put the wording in, the state, and DEQ has done that for us, haven't they?
Well, I mean, that's what when I addressed Mr. Vance, I mean, without looking into each specific thing, when things like that are prescribed as, you know, a crime, typically that's already been decided by the state, and it's not really things that you all have discretion over. A lot of the stuff, you can set fees, and you can decide if you're going to be more strict than they're going to be, but you really don't have a whole lot of leeway to be less lenient, to be more lenient. So, but I mean, I'm happy to look into any specific provision to see if there are other avenues. But most of it, in speaking with Lonzo, this is a form he received from the state. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let me.
well, I mean, I've never really been, and I think Ms. Wallace can probably speak to a lot of the DEQ regulations better than me because I've never. But my understanding, you know, I mean, they're pretty tough. I mean, they're pretty tough sometimes. But I mean, they serve a purpose. But I guess the overreaching point is there's not a whole lot you all can do to change it. They have their mandates and you have to follow them. But I mean, I'm happy to look in to see if there are provisions like the penalties that you have issues with, if there's any way that we have any discretion, or if we pretty much just have to follow the state law.
It's something that your House Delegate members and senators take a look at it, and I mean, you know, those of us that said so.
They would have to change law, but let me give you an example of today's lesson at DEQ that I attended a board meeting today virtually. And the county, you can look this up online, the county of the city of Winchester, I believe, or the county of Lancaster was fined in their erosion and sediment control were lacking $101,400.
They were fined.
Because they didn't have
because they were not doing what they were supposed to be doing by mandate.
Okay.
So there are fines. There has been fines in this county, and we have been told that we need to get our act together, so to speak. And so that's it. The only way that we can change how things happen here is to change it at the state level. Currently, we do not have control of the General Assembly.
Right. I understand that fully.
And maybe I can elaborate a little bit on it. We did meet with DEQ with the state of Virginia out of Richmond. They came down in last month. We had a meeting with them. And this ordinance, even though it sounds strenuous, it is the bare basic. This is the lowest level that Russell County could go, because we did not want to put a burden upon the residents in any other capacities, whether it's business or residential. But one of the agreements that DEQ has is in ENS management, it has to be in place or they can't start fining. That's the bottom line. These are the minimum requirements. That's why we didn't even extend the provisions as far as certificate of competence and compliance on residential, a no plan. We give them that opportunity for all residential, but when it came to business, you know, and Ernie can tell you, as we had I'm not gonna point out that one, we had to go back, and this is our basic minimum, is what Katie will end up telling you. This is.
Well, thanks for the explanation.
Yeah. So it is the bar one. We took out everything we could get down to.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
Okay?
Probably just like
Better
the public procurement.
pass it.
Well, I mean, I mean, knowing that Lou had the conversation and she was on that meeting and were able to give us a little bit more of an explanation of how this works, I appreciate it, because that just kind of gave me a little bit more clarity. We're at the lowest level we can be. I just don't want to go. I want to go up.
I don't want to tie.
And like Mr. Breeding, he made a point, and it's the best point. It's you can't go less restrictive than the bar minimum. That's just it.
And another point, you need to make any fines that's levied on the county is going to come out of your general funds,
we
which
don't
is
want
going to
that.
come out of the citizens of Russell County's
Right.
pockets anyway. And so everybody needs to be a good actor.
I'm fine there. Y'all explain. Thanks.
Okay.
You explain.
I think, Luann, was your motion, you wanted to discuss some of the issues.
I just want
The motion to approve it, but.
You know, one thing I've never been able to understand about this, this is what I got to say. They don't want you to follow the creek and make money. I don't believe it's exactly, one way broken, and stuff. But I said it time and time again. Every time that God sends a rain or flood or running through water, they can't find anything.
No.
All right? I don't believe it.
Give them time, or it's good.
They would if they could.
Well, I'm saying, I don't believe in being neglectful, and you do great work and just make the mess or get to the creek and doing all this, and all these different oils coming from the equipment. But, then sometimes I just think it goes. I know the land's in that department. I don't mean to pick on you, but
Throw you under
Okay.
the bus.
All right, well, we have a motion on the floor from Lou and a second from Carl, and we've discussed it. Is everyone ready to vote? All those in favor of passing our erosion and sediment ordinance? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay. Horace, you're saying no?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
That's correct. And David, a no. All right. All right, Katie?
The next thing I have, Madam Chair, is the lenders agreements regarding the consolidation of Castlewood Water and Sewage Authority with the Russell County PSA. There's four different agreements that collectively make up the lenders agreements. We approved these previously in form. I need the board to finalize these agreements subject to changes and approval of legal counsel, because there are a few blanks still in there, as we don't know the closing date and the exact figures. But these are just standard lenders agreements regarding all of that debt. So I just need a final approval of the board subject to changes made by legal counsel and final approval of legal counsel.
All right, would you like these one at a time or do we collect?
I think you can do them collectively.
Okay, collect. Do we have a motion to accept these four agreements subject to our attorney's final review on that?
So move that.
Steve, do we have a second?
I'll second.
David, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
The next item I have is I was requested to review a lease that the Board of Supervisors has with the Clinch River Little League. This lease was entered back in 2013. It is a valid lease. There is a provision that we can give notice to terminate a lease. It's my general advice to the Board of Supervisors that absent a breach of the lease or other extreme circumstance, that we not terminate the lease just because other people may be interested or may not be happy with that, because this is an interest that somebody has invested, that may have invested private funds with the expectation that the lease was going to be for such a period. Typically, when you draft a lease, when I would draft a lease on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, I would want to include every remedy that I possibly could and every avenue to get, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I would advise you to use it at a given time. I think if what that probably was contemplated for was if the Board of Supervisors decided to take it back or if the leaseholder decided, I don't really know that I can handle this anymore. It gave an avenue for it to revert back. I haven't been provided any facts or any indication that the Clinch River Little League wants the lease to be terminated. So it's my advice at this time to not do that. I don't think any action needs to be taken unless the board wishes to take some kind of action.
Madam Chair, Mr. Salyers is here representing the Clinch River Little League, and I'm just wondering, I know this is not exactly in order, but he's sat here for a very long time. I'm just wondering if we could have him make a comment or two, if you'd like to. Does the board have an issue with that? Bob, you want to talk to us a minute?
On this lease that we got with the Russell County Board of Supervisors, it's also in conjunction with the Russell County Fire Association. They got the same lease. And the reason it took so long is the Russell County Board of Supervisors wanted us to show so much progress doing this. And I think Mr. Breedy was down there a time or two when we were in the process of doing this with Mr. Horton. Am I correct on that? Yeah. Mr. Horton was the chairman of the Russell County Board of Supervisors at that time.
I don't recall being down there.
Okay.
In association with Little League field?
Yeah.
No, never did any work.
But anyway, we started in 1988 on these things. We had to do so much improvement before they would grant us this lease. So this goes back to Mr. Horton's term and Mr. Banner. They were the ones that first made this lease, and then it got approved when we finished 2 fields. And on these fields, we also take care of Castlewood High School's softball program. The Christian school there has access to it for their PE program. We've taken care of a lot of things that's went on down there that people don't know about. We've very seldom come to the Board of Supervisors requesting no more than the $4,000 that we get. And Mr. Lovelace has been down there on the new batting cage inside batting facility. It's got 2 hitting cages, 1 pitching cages, and a weight place in there. But we got to get control of what we do and how we let people come in there. So that's the lease is still, in no way do we want to give up the lease on it. We're willing to work with people, but people can't just say, hey, we're going to take you to court, we're going to do this. That's a no-no for me. I would like to see every one of you, I'd like to give every one of you a tour of this lease project that we've been working on ever since 1988. It's not fully completed, but we will hold, this year we'll hold 2 district tournaments on these fields. And that's where we make a lot of our money. We've held several state tournaments there. And on the average, you can clear $10,000 on a state tournament. That has been put back in these fields each and every year. But that's hard to satisfy everybody. I just appreciate every one of you for y'all's action on not asking us to give the lease up. Am I correct on that?
I don't think anybody's seen. But I think the people that came up here were just, they were saying, we're not involved with Little League, we'd like access to the fields. You could work with them, try to work something out, that would resolve all the issues.
Well, we would love to do that, but then the question is with the schools and everything that has access to this field. And they'll need it more this year due to Corona because they're not going to be able to play on the high school field, the varsity level. It's where do these people's kids go to school at? Norton, Coburn? I mean, you're losing, when you holler tax money, you're losing what, $88,162 of that tax money that's going to Wise County.
So these people live in Russell when they go.
They live in Russell. But they want to come in. We've even had them to come in that when we'd have the field and stuff lined off, Castlewood High School to use, they'd come in the middle of the day. They tar the, they get on the pitching mound, they dig holes, they get in the batter's box. Then here comes a high school expecting us to have it ready. We got to control that. I'm here for Castlewood High School and Clinch River Little, not Norton, not Coburn. And I'm sure that the other schools in the county that I know the principals real well, they want to take care of their kids before they take care of someone else. If you have any question, I'll do my best to answer it.
Well, I don't think none of us knew that they wasn't in Russell County Schools. I think the thing that they brought to our attention for utilization is because they're taxpayers. They pay taxes just like everybody else does. And I think I had no idea or clue that they went to Fordham School and they live in Russell County. I don't think that was ever.
Well, I know one of them. I'm assuming that one of them. I can't say this for sure, but when she looks out her bedroom window, she's going to see Castlewood High School every day. But she's got her kid in Norton and East Side. So my point to everyone is I'm taking care of Castlewood and Clinch River Little League. I've been in the Little League program for 46 years. And I appreciate y'all. Don't take our lease away from us. Thank you. Now our safety director is Mr. Steve Sullivan here. If y'all got something about safety, I'll let him handle that. Because Little League really got a bunch of safety rules that a lot of you travel ball teams don't have. And this year, the 6 foot has been tough keeping kids 6 foot apart. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Miss Katie?
Thank you. The next thing that I have, Madam Chair, is a right of way on a piece of property that the Board of Supervisors purchased, I guess about a year ago. We were working with another possible access, but right now those negotiations haven't really gone anywhere. So we have an easement by Key Western to our property. That way that we have, an access to it. So I'm just asking the board to approve this right of way.
So we need a motion to accept this project.
There's no purchase price associated with this. This is part of the agreement of purchasing the property. So there's no additional cost to the Board of Supervisors for this right of way.
And this is a piece of property out across from Pal's Restaurant. Right, so
yes.
Do I have a motion to accept this deed gift of easement?
So move, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Steve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Carl?
Yep.
Discussion? Heard all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Number 6, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Sort of in conjunction with number 3 of the lenders agreements that you just passed, we are hoping to get a closing date regarding the consolidation of debt with the PSA, hopefully by the end of January. And we do not have a date for that yet, but they do have some vendors that need to be paid, and that money is already verified and ready for the drawdown as soon as we do the closing. But at this time, the PSA would be requesting a short-term loan to be given to pay the vendors and pay the Lane Group for their business plan and rate study, and that will be paid back as soon as the loan is closed upon. I am working on drafting an agreement, but I needed to get the exact figure and amount. But I'm asking the board to approve that short-term loan and direct me to finalize that loan agreement and authorize the chair to sign.
Do we have a motion for this?
I'll say.
Okay, discussion. Can we add in that, Katie, is this something you're going to put in this, that it will be paid back to us in one lump sum at one time?
I can. That's not a problem. Yeah. I think that's the understanding, but I can put that in the agreement. Yes.
Okay, so that how it's done. Okay.
But I mean, I can put that. I mean, it's going to be a really simple agreement. There's no need to make it complicated. This is not, a long-term loan with the interest. This is just a short-term solution, but the money will be paid back in its entirety to the board of supervisors.
Right. Yeah. And don't want it to be drawn out for years and years long runs. Okay. All right. Well, Steve answered my question. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
And the last thing, Madam Chair, under me is the public hearing we had regarding the transfer of property to from the Board of Supervisors to the IDA. I have prepared a deed, and I would be requesting that deed be approved at this time.
I'll make that motion.
David, you have a second. Steve, any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
I think that's all I have.
All right, reports. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. First on the county administrator reports is, of course, the Russell County CARES Funding Financial Summary. As y'all can see right now, this is a breakdown of the summary between what we have given into the CARES Relief Fund. And again, make sure that this came through, yes. As of today, of course, you have seen that we have given out over $839,000 to the towns, the county operating expenses, and that takes care of all of our first responders and chiefs, and all the courthouses and what we have given. It has a breakdown of the public facilities, the safety modifications that we've had to do to all the buildings and business support, and grants and programs. As we go through on the community assistance, and that goes through the food pantries, the fire and rescue squads over $400,000, and food pantries over $160,000. Of course, we've also included our modifications for this meeting and telework and etc. And as everyone knows, that we're coming up very soon on the 12/30 end date. Everyone knows that it has been dealing with the CARES Act. As the balance right now, with what obligations we got about $71,000 remaining. And there's one exception into it, and that's my one that I asked to be added, which includes in this total for the Russell County hazardous pay. So this is that includes this. So again, right now we got $71,000 remaining, but there's obligations and purchase orders still coming through that we have to clear out to make sure we do not overspend. The auditors have looked at this and reviewed it as of last week. We are in compliance with the Single Audit Act and what we have expended so far. So again, we're coming at the end of the period. We don't know what the current future is on what they're appropriating. If anyone's been watching the House and Senate between the HEROES and the HEALS Act, I mean, I can't sit and speculate on what the outcome's going to be. But I know what we have and how we've expended it to ensure that the Russell County citizens have received the care that we can give them the best, and the businesses and the donations, and of course the balance, like I said, is 71,423 that we have on obligations, and we've got other things that are coming through.
You have other things come out of that 71,000.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I've got other purchase orders, and
You know what your net total is?
we have never returned any federal money before.
That's
There will be no money.
There won't be.
No. I'm almost concerned I may overrun because I'm watching it so close.
Because we're
Russell
purchasing
County,
more PPE
we
stuff.
will expend every dollar to take care of Russell County citizens. I can get that is an assurance. The next is the
Wait, Bonzo.
yes, ma'am.
If I can, Kate, is this the appropriate time? I don't think we have to have a motion, but I want to clarify. I want to say that tonight ends all of our applications for our CARES money.
For the business grant portion.
Business grant.
See, we've been accepting them all the way through.
Yeah, because we're down to this much, and we've still got a few bills out, and like you said, we don't want to run over. So
Close.
do we need a motion at this time to stop our applications, or can we just let the public know that they end tonight? We can't take any more.
Well, I mean, if you're going to stop taking application, I guess I think that would be better to be board action, to be a motion that you're going to cease applications, because it needs to be an official act of the board, not just.
Okay, all right. Can I have a motion then to say that we stop receiving any more CARES applications? Because we are down, and we do have outstanding bills that will probably wipe us to. And Steve, I promise, we're not going to send any back.
Just because you accept an application doesn't necessarily mean it's money.
Well,
But if that money can go to the entity, business that needed it, I'd rather do that than buy something else.
right, and it's very understandable. But right now on the grants, one of the things on the other side of the coin that I want to do, I don't want to get their hopes of submitting grants. Now, not to say there won't be future funding that'll be available for business grants, but we have, from a financial fiduciary perspective, we have to make sure that we make the we expend the 71,000, but we don't. Yeah.
Just how you spend.
Yes. Right now, what I have setting right now is dedicated to the sheriff's department and first responders. That's the 71 cluster aggregate.
So you feel like you pretty well expended $71,000.
I may have overspent a little.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I guess you could suspend it. I mean, I don't know if like Lonzo said, if there's going to be additional money, that would be, but you could maybe temporarily suspend.
Then that's a whole new ballgame. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be happy to see that. So is that okay? How Steve is worded that? I think that's sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want, just so the public can know that the program, may reactivate if additional funds are received.
You
but
can
right now they're
suspend
temporarily suspended.
Yes, I would suspend it because we don't know what's on the coming down, and it.
I correct us. What you're telling me is we pretty well committed that $71,000 PPE for first responders and sheriffs.
Yes. What we have got right now, and there's two types: you either expend it or it's obligated per the federal terms. Right now, we have obligated what is coming through.
All right, so we have a motion.
Since we have obligated all of our care through the have extended we will not accept any further applications. However, if there is additional funding after the first year, whenever, we will reactivate the program.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'll say.
Any further discussion? Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And And just to elaborate on it a little bit more, the board does not meet again till the 4th. So any application would have come through would have to stand anyway, which would go beyond the deadline anyway. But one of the things that also point out, we have not turned down any business grants that were eligible during this period.
I just think this thing drags that much further.
I agree.
Especially what Jerry's talking about.
It is. There's currently right now in the House bill, which was modified today, that went through the House, there is $167 billion that's coming to the localities. So we don't know what share it is yet. We can't speculate.
Your children.
I know that.
I know. Good point.
Killing the East of China. Okay. Second on the county administrator request and reports is, of course, the abstract of the votes that just recently happened. This was for the presidential, as everyone can see, as in your packet. This is from Republican and the Democrat between the votes that was in the county and how the sheriff went between the currently President Trump and Mr. Biden, Vice President Biden, and Libertarian. This is how the breakdown of the county was during the time. Of course,
Motion to accept.
no, I do not have to accept these. These are reports and they've already been confirmed.
Thank you.
Electoral Board certifies. And of course, it was all the, as you can see in your package, it went all the way through. Next is on the county administrator reports, and is of course the VDOT secondary system construction secure plan. And now will Jeff Buchanan, the current Lebanon residency engineer, I'm going to let him speak on that.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. Good to be here tonight. Appreciate the time on your agenda. It's been a little while since I've been here, but good to see y'all again. With many other things, COVID sort of put a kink in our 6-year plan as we normally would do it. As you know, we did not have our typical spring public hearing and allocation of funds because we didn't know what we were going to be doing, quite honestly. There was an allocation made to the 6-year plan in the out year FY 25-26. In November, central office looked to turn that around pretty quickly. The best recommendation that we had was just put those funds on the last project on the 6-year plan, which is Lower Copper Creek. Move forward to the public hearing next month to complete the process, and then we'll come back in the spring and do what we normally do. Sit down with all the board or a subset of the board, look at the routes that we may want to add, adjust the budgets, and move forward and get back on track, basically. So tonight, just want to sort of very briefly walk through why we are where we are. You're not really missing out on an opportunity to do anything with the plan. Again, as the money comes into the 6-year plan, it's always 5-6 years out. So that's not to say we can't change some things in the near term, but we haven't missed that opportunity to do so, nor have we really missed an opportunity to add projects and things of that nature. We're just cramming 2 years together and basically doing two plans in one, if you will. But we do need to go forward with the public hearing, if it's the board's pleasure, next month to complete the project, or complete the process, for the current fiscal year that we're basically halfway through at this point, and then, like I said, resume our normal activities and schedule come springtime, and get back on track with things. So, that being said, I'll be quiet. If anybody has any questions or comments on what we're looking to do with that, I'll try my best to field those.
I'm good with that. If everybody else is, that's not, I don't know that there's anything else we can do at this point. And we're not losing it, like you said. It's going to go on the last project. Then next spring that can be
I mean, nothing we're doing construction between now and March, April anyway, and all the money's out here, so the new money.
So I'll make that motion that we accept the 6-year plan as, well, no, that we.
We've got a public hearing.
Yes.
I guess I should have said, I don't really need any action tonight, it's more just
Sure.
set the stage, so to speak. So, yeah.
So the public hearing will be next month, okay, and you'll set that.
Yeah, we'll advertise that, and, hopefully be here next month and get it moving again. And, if there's any other questions on the 6-year plan, I'll give you one or two little quick updates, but, I'll get up before any other comments on the 6-year plan process. As many of you know, we have had Route 601 closed for several weeks over the Sandy Ridge area. Don't have an exact date, but we're getting pretty close to getting that back opened up. Should be opened back up before Christmas. Probably won't be paved, but we should be opened up, weather permitting, before Christmas. We did finish up a couple of real rustic projects this year. 834 Jackie Dye Road and 779 Davis Hankins. I think those turned out pretty well, actually. I think Davis Hankins is probably the most change before and after that I've been associated with the project. I think we're up to a little shoulder stone down on both of those projects. And the last thing I had, Ms. Lawson did chat with the sheriff on the issue we discussed, and we're not sure quite what we're going to do, but we are going to get VDOT representatives, Sheriff's Department, probably State Police folks together, and brainstorm a little bit. And I don't know where we go, but we're going somewhere. It's just the best I can say, or hopefully we're going somewhere. But that's about all I had for you this evening. Board members, any other questions, comments?
Feel free. Thank you for what you're doing.
We keep plugging.
I know. Tough time. I understand.
Our operations have changed a bit this year, but we keep plugging along.
Thanks, Jeff.
Pardon.
Thank you, Jeff. Absolutely. Next on the county administrator reports is of course, the Honeacre and Castlewood Cannery closing dates. There's been mentioned, to ensure to leave them open long enough so everybody have the opportunity to do their meats. It's getting at that temperature, one of the things, and it's also easier for our staff. It's just to leave them open rather than close them down and open them back up once the winter arrives. That's the way it is. So I think there's been discussion between the board members looking at January the 12th of 21. We closed last year the 14th, so this will give everybody an opportunity to make it through and be able to utilize them.
David, how about you guys said anything to you?
No, ma'am. No, they haven't.
I know I've just had a few. Carl,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
about you? I've just had a few ask that they.
Yeah, a lot of,
they do some meat.
talked to several people that they're doing beef and the hogs right now. So,
Right.
Yeah.
but
Right.
I think that would be,
12 will be.
yeah.
Yeah, that's another month.
All
Yep.
right.
Okay. So I will advertise it in the paper. It's closed, and then on the media sites, it's January the 12th, 21. Next on the county administrator reports is, of course, the Russell County Commission Comprehensive Plan. This is for y'all's review. This is in rough draft. Go through it. Yes. And it's one of many sections, so the comprehensive plan is the key word, comprehensive. So this is one of many that you'll receive over the coming months. So take a look at it, and it's a process that we got to go through. A lot of the federal funding now and the state funding are tied to our comprehensive plan. So if we want to include it, I've been working with VDOT. As they know, they make me anytime that I don't have a route in there on the smart scale before the planning commission asking for changes to it. So it is part of the process, not just from VDOT, but from Department of Housing, through any federal or state agency. They're asking for regionalism. That's just the way that everybody's working now. So take a look at it. Any changes you got, then give it back to us, and we will make the corrections and represent it back to the planning commission. Next is the county administrator's request. Of course, this is the CARES grants for the approval. Let me get back down here and get through the Planning Commission. Yes, it would. Of course, as we're going to see as we roll through here, what we have awarded to businesses and what we have, the applications that we have done to the number of businesses. And one of the things that we will have is a summary report for businesses at the end, the number of businesses that we've got, the rescue squads, how much we've given, over 415,000, food ministries, how much we've awarded. Of course, to the town of Lebanon, you got to remember the town of Lebanon, town of Honeacre, and St. Paul and Cleveland, if they had any businesses in their area, they also contributed to the businesses. This is a very comprehensive list. And of course, as you see, the town of Honeacres, town of Lebanon's, and the awardees back in from the Russell County Board of Supervisors. But again, one of the things I want to emphasize is anyone, the applications that we did have, if they were eligible, were given one. But we also did include, we even took in the components on the farms within the county to make sure that all farms had the opportunity and business this. Now, in the last one, this is during the December meeting, we have 11 applications for $5,000 each additional. And that's included in that $71,000 total for $55,000. I need approval for these 11 applications.
We have a motion to approve these came in today, we reviewed them. So do we have a motion to pay these grants?
So moved.
Tim, thank you.
Second.
Have a second? Carl?
Yeah.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll need to abstain since my small business is included in that grant application.
So you will abstain? Okay?
Yeah. What do you say, Steve?
I didn't want to apply in the beginning. I wanted all the rules.
You're going to abstain on that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, the next one that we added in was the Russell County Employee COVID-19/pandemic hazards pay. This is, of course, Katie and I and the school board have been working with the auditors over this amount of time. And as everyone knows, there was Constitution departments that were given hazards pay during this time for their departments. So what we have came up with and the auditors this as of today, that we are looking at $500 per employee for full-time and part-time that did not receive it from other eligible grants because we cannot double dip. So that was part of that $71,000 net, which is approximately $100,000 of the CARES for the hazards paid per employee on the Russell County side of between our employees on full-time and part-time. I'll need a motion to approve it.
David, second by Steve. Any discussion?
Yes. I think it's quite noble to do this, and I'm probably going to vote yes to do it. But I do have a little angst on this because Warner got up and spoke about his business, and I realized that he was having some problems. And we have people in the medical field, we have people in all kinds of businesses, and we're awarding our government employees. I just have to say that. I just have to say that. So I don't know what the answer is, but I don't really feel good about that.
Okay. Well, maybe one of the things that we can do, what you got to remember, during this pandemic is not normal. And one of the things that on the county side of what we had between our full-time and part-time, we had to continue operations during this time. We were here every day, even when everybody was at home and a stay home. We were operating from the trash through the public safety to the deputies that were out on the road to making sure the facilities were still running and assisting the other residents and working with, like Jess and us, we were out working with the multiple agencies and, from the Department of Health through, through the rescue squads and the fire squads. We were still holding these meetings. We held these meetings in this room during this time when everybody was claiming 2 million deaths. So, and as far as the county employees, I will stand up for them, on this and say, they've been here. I had to keep the facilities running. We had to keep the water running. We had the basic necessities that was going on just didn't happen, So that's my stance on it. And I know that the general
understand, and I like to say I'm not going to argue the point, but I'm going to speak for the people that are not going to get any money, that they went to work every day, and I understand that, I get it, but if I don't say something loud and clear, I'm not going to sleep well tonight.
And that's fair. And there's still a lot that's locked in need, and that's why we donate so much of this to the fire squads and the food pantries. I mean, we anybody that came out with their hand out that was eligible, we gave it to them. Tim and Rebecca would tell you they didn't sleep a lot of nights. They was trying to give it all out. I mean, we did what we could with what we had.
Well, our employees were essential workers. You had to have employees to operate. I mean, you can't just shut everything down and not be able to operate and continue on the focus with those types of meetings. That's the reason I thought it's bid about how can you give it to some, not give it to all. I want everybody to be treated equally. And I think we had enough essential workers here that was able to keep the county operational running.
And it's
and
just
the Food City has to have workers there to supply food for us. So I'm still going to argue with this. We could be here all night long, and I'll argue it. So call for the vote, Madam.
All right, good. All right, all those in favor? Anyone opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, next one on here is another VDOT issue. This is a discontinuance of Route 671 and Route 678. Of course, that was a request that first came through us out of the Transportation Board, of course, not living in residency. I'm going to point that out. So you don't look over at Jeff and say, I got to take care of him, yes. So this is the discontinuance on it. This is the Route 671 here, the section, and 678. And after conversations that he's done his due diligence and checked with the CTB and his staff and discussions with Mr. Lovelace, this is a resolution of non-support for discontinuance of Route 671 and Route 678. So the Virginia Department of Transportation has notified the Russell County Board of Supervisors of its intent to discontinue, again, the CTB Board. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Russell County Board of Supervisors hereby does not support the Commonwealth Transportation Board's proposal of discontinuance of Old Route 671 and Old Route 678 as identified. Therefore, be it therefore resolved that the Russell County Board of Supervisors requests that the roadways described on the attached sketch, which is Route 671, 678, remain included in the secondary system of state highways with the understanding that the Virginia Department of Transportation will only maintain these routes the extent of their use by the general public, and be it therefore further resolved, the Russell County Board of Supervisors request that the segments on Route 671 and 678 be accordingly renumbered as part of the secondary system of state highways. Be it finally resolved, the Board of Supervisors orders that a certified copy of the resolution forwarded to the resident engineer, of course, Jeff sitting in the office of the Department of Transportation. So it's a letter, a resolution of non-support to continue with these Route 671 and Route 670.
So we need a motion to accept this
Yes,
resolution of
Yes, ma'am.
non-support.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make that motion.
Ben, all right. Second, Steve. Any discussion? And all those in favor? Okay, wait, hold it.
Oh, Jeff's going.
Yeah, I just wanted to I guess, reiterate or emphasize one thing as far as the maintenance to the, I've lost the phrase, to the extent of public use. The reason these segments showed up on the central office list to begin with, because we really weren't doing much maintenance on them now. And that's going to continue. Okay. While they will be in the system, the level of maintenance again matches the level of use, which there's basically no use on the roads. I just wanted to emphasize that not really anything is going to change. I guess is the best way to put it. But after conversation with Lovelace and the central office, I think it does make sense to take the course of action to protect it. So just wanted to re-emphasize that. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Okay, all those in
Thank you,
favor
Jeff.
of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jeff. Next is the CARES Act funding. This is additional funding on the fast track to broadband projects. This is we have put in for these grants for broadband expansion, and this was one that was awarded for $155,000 to the Flat Circle area project that will be given to Point Broadband for them to complete. We also put in for additional ones through IGO that we're waiting returns on. Again, the broadband is another component of the future assistance. So hopefully this is another component, not just the business grants, but these will be available also. No, they could not. But here, what I have talked to the review committee. They have them standing if this goes through in future. They're right at the top of the list. And so we also need to keep in mind any future areas of service that's needed and pick these up. Make them, well, it hasn't opened up officially, which hopefully will be soon. But the philosophy of it is submit all you can, make them say no.
Well, that's the Clarks Valley area,
Yeah.
right? That they applied for.
Yeah, and then see, they had some overlay shown in, and they're looking at Corn Valley and that, so there was some overlay. So it gets kind of complicated, so, but again, if it has service, put it in for a grant. But I need a motion. I need a motion to accept the $155,000 because we have already received the money.
All right.
So I need a motion to
accept
appropriate.
this money for broadband. Second. Lou, any further discussion? Read all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is another grant, litter prevention and recycling grant. This is the annual recycle one that goes to the county and all the towns for litter prevention programs and recycling programs. This is how we pay for our tires out here every year, and we do the pickup and the waste pickup, and it's a really good program. But this is how we afford it, and we do use some of it for education through the schools and prevention programs and litter programs.
I'll make a motion.
$11,637.
Second. David, Lou, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is another grant. This is Jess had spoken of on earlier. This is the Russell County Emergency Operations Center generator grant that he put in for, that he spoke of earlier. I need the a motion for approval for $13,552.
Second.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it for Steve's
All right, Steve.
discussion.
Okay, discuss, Steve.
I'm a little confused, and it's probably just
I know what
Oh, it says,
it,
it's
we've already
probably
caught
a
that.
copy
Yeah.
and paste
Yeah.
mistake, because it says Rocky Mount, Virginia.
We'll take their money too.
No, it's probably just a, yeah, it's probably just
You
a
don't want to
copy
be generating
paste
them.
mistake.
No, we're taking their money.
No, and
That-
also for discussion, FEMA is a 75-25 split. So we will have, Russell County will pay $645
Yep.
of that.
There's the breakdown right there.
There's the
So of course, the federal projects is 9680. The state is going to fund 2582, and of course our local is 645. So
All right. Okay. Those.
that can be in kind. Yes. That's just time sitting out there making sure they do it right.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. All
Yeah,
those in favor?
13 days.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is a request from the Cumberland Plateau Housing Authority. Second. This is for the payment in lieu of taxes on the HUD developments on behalf of the Cumberland Plateau Housing Authority. Is requesting that the Board of Supervisors waive the authority's payment in lieu of taxes in the amount of $4,161.29 for the fiscal years ending on March the 31st, 2020. I need a motion on that one. And this is two.
Yes.
There's two here. And payment in lieu of taxes on the Piston Place, which is 2808.75, ending that also on March the 31st, 2020.
Okay. We have a second.
I'll second.
David, any discussion? We've historically done this for these agencies. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
And thank you, Madam Chair. Next is also a tradition, the Russell County Board of Supervisors annual employee turkey. This is part of the Christmas turkey, hammer turkey that we give to the employees that has already been budgeted.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Who's second? Steve? Okay, I'm sorry, can't hear. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Next on the county administrator request is, of course, the 2020 holiday leave schedule that was already given to the state. We have what is already in the personnel policy. These are additional days that have been given, by the governor. This for the additional 4 hours on December the 23rd. That's the Wednesday, and additional 8 hours on Thursday the 31st. So I need approval from the board above what's in the personnel policy.
We have a motion to approve the holiday leave schedule.
So moved.
David, we have a second.
Second.
Carl?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay. Next on the county administrator request is the Russell County Planning Commission plats approval. I just need approval for the plats.
So moved.
David, Steve. All right, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That concludes everything for you, sir?
Ma'am, that concludes the county administrator reports and requests. Thank you.
All right, next item is our matters presented by the board. Carl, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I hope everybody stays safe over the holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone.
David?
I'd like to kind of do the same thing. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and pray that this mess gets behind us and we have a better time.
Steve?
Well, I've had a gentleman from my community in my district to reach out to Delegate Wampler's office about a military gentleman. And he was from our district, and his name is Fred Taylor, I believe. I think I've sent all this over to you, Lonzo. I cannot
Yes, ma'am.
remember. But I would just like to make it publicly known that he has made a request that we do something to support or and memorialize this gentleman who was killed in action, or he's missing in action still yet. And so I'm just letting you all know that we're trying to come up with something, and we haven't really discussed it, how we can memorialize this. So this is just to let you all know. And if you all have any suggestions, now this gentleman said that he would give us more information on it, and I'm just trying to get the ball rolling here. So just putting that out there for public consumption. Tim?
Just second what everybody said about want everybody to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and let's all pray for a normal 2021.
Of course. Okay, the only thing that I have really is I'm going to appoint a committee to work with Katie, Lonzo, Harvey, and ask that the PSA appoint 2 of their board members, and ask Tim and myself from the Board of Supervisors to meet with Katie and finish up this discussion of consolidation, look at their final 4 documents, and just do all this before their December 21st meeting when they have to finalize everything. And Lonzo, I'm going to ask you to get up with their chair and Thompson and Litton. I want to include them too because they're the engineering firm. And y'all set a date for us to meet and get everything signed, sealed, and get this going.
Madam Chair, if I may, they held their meeting today, so they're not planning on meeting again this month. They moved.
I thought they were. They're not going to meet on the 21st?
No, when they met in November, they moved their meeting up to coincide with our meeting.
Okay.
So they're not.
So how can should they? Well, we can meet, you and the 2 of us and Lonzo, to finish up all these documents. Looking at everything and what they have.
Yeah, we can begin.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I ask you a question? Did we verify, did we vote on that Belfast Water Extension Phase 3? Is it voted? I mean, did we vote on that tonight?
She's presenting all that. Debbie Milton is.
Okay, and that'll come up at the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was okay.
She's already got the grants rolling,
Thank
and she's working with Thompson and Litton, and
Okay.
they've already started doing everything they need to do.
Okay, thank you. I just put a question mark there. I just want to make sure.
All right, Katie, anything else? So, Katie, you and Lonzo, y'all get together and call us and let us know what's convenient for you, okay?
Okay.
All right. With that being said, the only thing I do hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas, stay healthy, and I echo what everybody else says. I hope 2021 is a better year for us. With that being said, I'll ascertain an adjournment, and our next meeting should be January the 4th, 2021. So
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
and meet back here on January 4th. Do we have a second?
Second.
10. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I need to get with you. What you need, sweetheart?